If emotions can change decisions, standards, and confidence in seconds, emotional mastery needs to be non-negotiable. You need to identify and understand how to regulate your emotions as a woman. This video will share with you guys exactly how to control your emotions in a practical and healthy way. No fluff, no BS. Let's get straight into it. So why do emotions feel like they have control over you? Emotions control your life when they become instructions instead of information. The minute your emotions has control to determine what you do next based off of how you feel, you're cooked. You're cooked, sister. Because at the end of the day, when your emotions can now trigger an instant reaction, say for example, if you crash out, that's now you operating not even from yourself, you're acting out of character. You see how people will often say, oh my gosh, I started to see red. I wasn't myself. That's because they allowed emotions instruct their next move. And that is never what you want to do, because that's going to put you in a dangerous position. It's going to put you in a vulnerable position. So essentially a feeling rises and behavior follows suit without reflection. So this can often be seen in impulse texting, struggling with diarrhea of the mouth and just speaking about your personal business that doesn't need to be shared with people, avoidance in difficult tasks, so procrastination, reassurance seeking and always needing external validation, and dramatic shifts in mood. When this is repeated over and over again, your identity no longer becomes stable. And this is because you're always operating from how you feel. And this is not what we need. We need to be operating from a place of logic. And I know that can be hard because as women, I always say this in my videos, we have 50 million different hormones ever changing every other second. So it's not easy. But like everything in life, things take time and things need to be practiced, and you have to have a level of self-awareness. Once you know that there is an element of change that needs to take place, of strategy that needs to happen, then you're already in a powerful state because you know what work needs to be done. When you're not even aware of the fact that you are emotionally unregulated, no change will ever happen and you'll consistently be unstable in life. So let's talk about what emotional mastery actually looks like. Emotional mastery isn't you being emotionless or forever being nonchalant or whatever society likes to call it. All it is you being strategic. It's you understanding your triggers and knowing how to manage them. It's you being able not to do and react to things, but to see situations and issues as an opportunity to collect information and data to know how to operate moving forward. It's this level of self-reflection that happens before a trigger can have a high level of impact to make you act out of character. Emotional mastery means that emotion stops being the determining factor of what you decide to do next. Your logic decides. So see it as you noticing a specific emotion arising, understand what it is signaling you to do, so what type of behavior is trying to trigger out of you, and then you choosing the specific behavior to manage your emotions, and not in a way that's gonna make you crash out or act out of character, but to think in a strategic and logical way. For example, let's say you're in an environment and you now see your ex, and let's say this ex is someone who you didn't end on good terms. You didn't end on good terms. He was a dickhead, right? Naturally, you'll want to crash out. You'll want to shout at him, tell him about himself, and let him know who he fumbled. But when you take the time to self-reflect, you realize that he doesn't even deserve that energy and attention, and you're only going to end up feeling like shit if you choose to act upon your emotions. So emotional mastery comes in where your self-talk now says, okay, we need to calm down. Let's leave this environment. Let's remove ourselves from this environment because we're not trying to embarrass ourselves right now. That level of self-awareness and taking yourself out of a situation that could have made you act completely different to who you are is a high level of emotional regulation and emotional mastery. So let's talk about the 4 emotional control skills that you can adopt in order to take control of your emotions today. Number 1, catch the emotions before it rises and hits peak level. Understand that emotional reactions is felt within the body before it hits the mind. So once you're triggered, it's usually your body start arising. Like, I don't know if you can relate, but sometimes when you get angry, your heart starts beating a bit faster. You start getting palpitations, start getting hot. You're like, you need to release this tension, and the only way you feel like you can release this tension is by bugging the out, right? So your mind hasn't even had time to process what's going on. Your body's processing it. That's an example. But what you need to do instead is to catch yourself in that moment. As soon as your body starts reacting and you feel those heart palpitations, your mind needs to be like, oh, okay, no, I'm triggered. Something's gone off. Something's gone left. What do I need to do to combat this? So think tension in the chest, fast thoughts, irritation, the urge to respond immediately. These are all examples of your body being feeling that trigger before your mind catches up to you. Emotions can often be harder to manage once they hit peak level, because at that point you've exploded. And so this is why you want to kind of combat it before it gets to that level. Recognize all these symptoms of you feeling triggered and stop yourself in your tracks, whether that means removing yourself from the environment, stopping yourself to think before you react, until you're able to really just think. It's one of the two. So the best rule of thumb: delay reaction, delay action, delay response until you're able to really think through. Number 2, separate what happened to what it means. Emotions intensify when meaning is assigned quickly, but when you choose to delay a response, an immediate response, this is a form of rejection. This is you stopping yourself from actually entertaining the situation at hand, or the trigger, or the emotional overwhelm at hand. And this isn't you being delusional. The event is real, but your interpretation of it may not be. And this is what you kind of want to operate from. You don't need to entertain everything for it as face value. You can literally choose what you decide to use your energy for. So if you're not even wasting your energy on that situation, then that situation has nothing on you emotionally. That situation has no hold over you. It's once you start to interpret it, and interpret it quickly, then the situation, the person who's insulted you, there is now meaning to it, and you get more triggered. Separating the event from meaning reduces spiraling, and this is what we want to do. We want to avoid spiraling by any means necessary, because once you start spiraling, it's so hard to get yourself out of there, because now you're thinking all of these overwhelming thoughts, all these negative thoughts. You're ready to throw hands. Is it worth it? No. And so you kind of need to stop yourself in those tracks as it arises. A useful question to ask yourself is, what do I know for sure, and what am I assuming, or what am I interpreting in a way that may not be actual fact? Number 3, choose behavior based on standards and not feelings. Strong feelings often push behavior into relief. This is where sending that paragraph may come through, or you just all of a sudden trying to speak your mind, even when it might not be the right time. When you're aware of this, you can stop yourself in your track. And so what we need to do instead is choosing behaviors based off of your standards and based off of your desired identity. So think to yourself, your dream woman, your dream self, would she react? How would she react to a situation? How would she react to a certain conversation? How would she react to specific comments being made about you? If the answer is she wouldn't react, she would stay calm, she would remove herself from the situation, which it probably would have been one of those 3, then you know what you need to do. You need to be operating from that frequency and level. You don't need to be operating from a low level and low vibration of crashing out, of speaking your mind, of telling people wagwan, because it's not necessary. That's not the woman you want to be. And so once you operate from a higher standard and you realize that this is above your pay grade, like you're better than this, it's so much more easier for you to no longer operate from a low frequency. Crashing out, being overwhelmed, these are all low frequency things. These are things that are going to impact your inner state. And we've worked so hard to position ourselves in a way and in a form that's going to align us to success. So why would we want to crash out? Why would we want to give people a piece of our minds? For what? To show them that we're not to be messed with. Like, we don't need to show them anything. What we need to do is maintain our inner calm and protect our peace, which means removing ourselves, which means identifying when we're getting triggered. And this isn't to gaslight you into thinking that you shouldn't feel angry, you shouldn't feel upset. These emotions are natural, a natural part of being a woman, of being human. But my goal for this video is to tell you guys to think before you react, to have strategies in place to manage your overwhelm, because this will change the game for you, I promise you. Number 4, if you ended up crashing out, which is normal, it happens, this is what I want you to do. I want you to return to stability quickly after this disruption, quickly after the crash out. Like, cool, the mess has been done. This isn't the time to now dwell and to feel like crap. What we need to do is return back to our inner calm state. We need to reflect. We need to be aware of our actions. We need to be aware of how us being triggered impacted us to act a certain way. And then we need to let go and not let it define us or contribute towards our identity. Because many people will spiral, they will lose days, sleepless nights, overthinking, feeling bad. Oh, I did this, I did that. And that's where you go wrong, because that's already chipping away from your confidence. It's chipping away from the woman you are and the woman you're trying to be. And then your old frequency, your negative self, is going to have more evidence to use against you. But once you decide, okay, I didn't react in the best way that I know myself to react. However, this is data that I'm collecting, and now I'm going to move accordingly in this manner if this ever happens again, right? See it as a way of you learning your lesson. See it as a way of you getting one step closer to being a wise woman. Don't blame yourself, don't hold yourself or think in a negative manner. Move on and move forward because it's already happened. So now what we need to do is return back to base. And so a practical way you can do this is by choosing one stabilizing action that always instantly allows you to go back to your normal self. So whether that's reading, that's listening to music, that's sitting still, mindfulness, meditating, praying, whatever it may be, do one action, one stillness activity that will allow you to return back to your inner calm state. And this will help you every time. You know, in general, when it comes to emotional regulation, practice stillness, journal, self-reflection. These are all practical tools that are free that will help you to become more emotionally regulated and, you know, continue on your journey of emotional maturity. Emotional mastery is not about avoiding your feelings or blocking yourself from feeling a certain way. It's about managing your emotions. It's about regulating self, because once you can regulate yourself, no one can ever have the control over you. Most human beings, when they are emotionally unregulated, the world and people around them have ultimate control over them, and that's why they never live to their fullest capability. We can't have that. We always need to make sure that we are in control of our emotions. And so whether that means you need to do certain practices, you need to have a retreat week, a retreat weekend, just to recoup, to analyze yourself, really practice that level of self-awareness where you know yourself, you know how to handle yourself in specific situations, then do that, because that will allow you to ultimately live in your desired reality, live your dream self. And this is what we want. We want to live in our best, most amazing self. Right? So yeah. Right guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and you like more content like this, be sure to check out my level up playbook. This level up guide will give you step by step how to level up from scratch. We talk all about the mindset, frequency, vibrations, your physical aesthetics, the whole nine. So if you're ready to level up and take it to the next level, you need that ebook guide, and the link will be down below. But in the meantime guys, take care and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.